I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, September the 26th. Wait a minute, all this pressure pushing the board down the limit on Monday. I know the cattle on feed report was bearish due to the placements. We talked about that late last week. But still, we traded fat cattle after that report come out late on Friday at $1.09.5, which was $1.50 higher than the bulk of the trade had happened before that report come out. And your packers were still aggressive, and we ended up trading a huge amount of cattle on their direct fed cattle movement there, almost 113,000, the biggest movement we've had in a week's time in a long time. And that should overwhelmingly be more support than that bearish figure on cattle on feed. But it just seems like it takes hardly any pressure to push the board down hard, and it takes a ton of support to make it go up. And that's a lot of the industry's fault. We put so much pressure on that as an industry due to hedging reasons, risk management there, trying to cover ourselves, and there's nothing on the other side to hold it up. But look at the board. Your October live cattle down 235 to end the day on Monday at 109.22. Your December was down to $3 limit. October feeder cattle down the limit for feeder cattle, $4.50 to end the day on Monday at 150.160. Both November and January contracts were also down the limit, and all the others were down severely. But you look at the weighted average on last week's fat cattle trade on 112,900 head in your 5-area feeding region, which is fantastic. Should be a big boost to the market, but nobody's paying much attention to it. Weighted average on live steers was 108.50, up $2.61 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Dressed steers averaged 170.64, up $4.16 from the previous week. But that cattle on feed report, that placement figure put out by Urner Barry there, and the estimations just ran so wild in there. They ran from 88.3% of the previous year at the same time to 104.3. That is a huge range in there. It just goes to show you that there's guys in there that don't really understand what they're doing and don't have a clue where they're at. We know that our numbers are up, and our calf crop was a whole lot bigger, and you've got people estimating that way down at 88.3. You know, what side of the board were they on Monday morning? It almost makes you wonder. I hate to make accusations there, but you know, what would keep me from being one of the analysts and shoot a 75 in there and then short the board big time on a Monday? It's not right. I don't know why we have to advertise that every month and then just set us up for a fall, because every time it's bearish, look out, and any time that it's bullish, nobody pays a bit of attention to it. But the year-over-year increases on that placement figure was mostly all in the cattle weighing over 800 pounds. They were up 8.1%. And the lighter weights that people were looking at thinking they were going to make a big difference due to the Northern Plains drought and the fires did not make a big difference at all. But you look at your real-time index on Beef Market Central, based on an 800-pound steer, late Monday was at 152.44 there, down less than $1. So it didn't make a big difference on your cash feeders, not on your yearling cattle anyway. But you know, it's just hard to get over when the board's down the limit. It's down the limit. But speaking of that RTI, that's something we have on this screen you see behind me here, which is our new National Beef Wire, which you start to see when you're out and about a lot of different places. A lot of your bigger sale barns will be getting one. It'll be on a big screen, big flat screen TV, and tons of information on there, including the RTI, and you can watch that RTI come together. As you see, the scroll across the top is feeder cattle selling in sales just within seconds when those cattle come through the ring. On the bigger drafts, you can see those posted on the screen. It has the board course on there. It has a lot of other market information, news, up-to-date weather information, and these National Beef Wires is just the coolest thing out there by far for market information, and guys should look into getting you one. But you look at some Monday markets. Oklahoma City National Stockyards, 6,800 head on Monday. They had quite a write-up in the trend, and I want to commend Market News for doing that. Reminded me of the days when old Bob Miles used to report that market, and when you got done reading his market report, by God, you knew what was going on. But you look at a breakdown there, the feeder steers weighing over 800 pounds were $1 to $5 higher. Well, we're sure starting to see that these true yearling cattle are just going to take off from the fat big calves. The demand for them is going to be so much more. There's not very many of them left, and there's going to be a ton of these big heavy calves that are too big to graze, and you got nowhere to go to them with them but to feed, and they're not going to perform anything like the green yearlings that we've been seeing all late summer and fall. But 1 to 5 higher on those big heavy steers weighing over 8. The lighter weight feeder steers under 8, which would include a lot of fleshy calves, $4 to $7 lower. Feeder heifers are $1 to $4 lower. Your steer calves kind of unevenly steady, and heifer calves $3 to $6 lower. Guys, if people are paying a lot of attention to this board right now, and some of the pressure that's coming on there, it might be an opportunity to get in there and buy some calves. Don't mistake a down market or hiccup like this that could be a buying opportunity. There's been scattered showers all over the southern plains over the weekend and early this week so far, and it is exactly what this wheat needs to really pop, and it is just going to be so rank here. I know here in the Texas Panhandle, a lot of places got well over an inch, and some places have had 2 inches. This wheat is going to be so rank and so thick that we won't be able to get enough calves put on it to get it grazed the way it ought to be, and it's going to be that way in western Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and southwest Kansas too. At Joplin Regional Stockyards had 5,800 head on Monday. Calves there $5 to $8 lower, and I'm saying, guys, get in there and buy those things up. You can probably write you a contract or hedge those as big feeders and come out pretty good if you can keep those cattle alive. Yearlings were kind of unevenly steady to $3 lower there, but didn't have near as good a test of them as they did the calves. But some individual quotes you'll see there. F&T livestock market is one of the DV auction sales there. We've had them forever. The Browning brothers there in Palmyra, Missouri. I like that sale. I like what it stands for. F&T is Farmers and Traders. Been that way forever, and back before people got all upset and got their feelings hurt whenever they were labeled. But Farmers and Traders livestock there in Palmyra, Missouri at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 56 head of steers weighed 825 at 155. Didn't hurt things on them. Tri-State Market there in McCook, Nebraska at 130 at 82 head of steers weighed 605 at $1.80. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.